Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
where are we today?
I am in the exact same place I almost always am. Same cushion on the couch. You
Uh,
are in the same spot, but you've been to like 3 countries since the last time I saw you.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've been like in 3 countries. I'm back in the US. Yeah, and I'm just doing like a brief stop before going to another state, and then just coming back for another recording.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Welcome home.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. But yeah, for celebrating this long delayed additional recording, what did we watch?
This was my pick, and I chose. Oh no, I don't know the year this was released. 97.
95.
95. The 1995 Terry Gilliam film, 12 Monkeys. And the reason that I picked it was because I watched 7 as like research to discuss Silence of the Lambs with you. And I was just reminded how great Brad Pitt was in the 90s, man. Like every movie he's in, I'm like, it's good. And I wanted to watch, I had seen 12 Monkeys before, but a long, long time ago. And ever since Brazil, I've been just desperate to get back into Terry Gilliam's universe.
Okay, I know that last part, it may be a bit more ironic than anything else. But on the part about that, when the movie started, I was like, wait a second, this was Bruce Willis, but oh my god, that's Brad Pitt. Before he actually appears on the screen, and then I start remembering about like he does a good job. It was a bit more of the transition moment of just being a bimbo to just being like respected as a serious actor.
And I mean, he was a bimbo, but because he was an insane bimbo, he got an Oscar nom. Right? Didn't he get nominated for an Oscar for this?
Oh, he was? Huh.
Oh. Man, I am getting all my facts wrong with you today. Everything I tell you is just wrong. No.
Yeah.
But it did get nominated for Best Writing. Nope.
Okay.
That was Brazil. Just...
But Brad Pitt was nominated for Best Actor.
He was.
In a supporting role. So you were not 100% off.
All right.
Only 90%. And yeah, it's interesting that 7 and this movie is from the same year, from 95.
Wow, he had a good run because Fight Club was what, 96?
No, 98.
No, it was.
I think it's 99.
No way.
No. This is from Germany. Let me just check it. This sounds a bit of a strange. Venice, actually, no, 99, October 15th in the United States.
All right, well, whatever year, he had a good run in the 90s. He really did.
What was the Guy Ritchie movie that he was doing, the Gypsy?
It wasn't Lock and Stock.
It's Snatch.
Snatch, yeah. That was also a good movie. I mean, it was a pity that they had to compare it to Lock, Stock, but...
It's almost like a remake of Lock, Stock, to be honest. But Brad Pitt is like the main difference between both of them, and he's amazing in the movie.
He's really good as a pikey. I
Yeah.
think we can more.
Yeah. Cool. So as this was your pick, I guess that I have to summarize what 12 Monkeys is about. I'm going to try to withhold my opinion, but this is a 2 hours and 10 minutes long movie, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken, and basically narrates the story of society. Well, not society, it's just like the world has been destroyed in 1987 for a lethal virus, and most of the people left the planet, but we don't hear about them. It's a bit like Blade Runner in that aspect. They mentioned at the beginning on the opening text, and then there is like a group of people. There is like some people that they actually remain in Earth, and they are like trying to investigate if there is any way of going back to the surface.
Whoa, my mind is blown. I must have missed this title card. I thought just everyone died and everyone had to go under the ground. Everyone that survived had to go in the earth.
I may be wrong, but do you want us to stop the recording and check it out?
No, I just want to move forward with two realities. We each understood the film in a very different way.
It doesn't change much, because I only read it, like from the perspective is that someone watched Blade Runner. That is, they have like Life of Planet, but we are never shown that. It's a bit more like, yep, ton of people left, whatever, we don't care. But in this case, so it's a bit more like how interpreted is that there may be like some kind of arc or anything of people like just surviving out there in space, like just waiting for coming back. Or maybe I imagine all of that. But in the case, yeah, it doesn't change the fact that it's like the story centers in Bruce Willis, that he lives in some kind of prison, and he gets volunteer for going to the surface for just like gathering information about what happened.
Do they say voluntold at your company? You get voluntold for things?
Yeah, we say it like from time to time, and I even like just tell like that from time to time to people, hey, by the way, I just voluntold you for this. Let me know if it doesn't work. Wink, wink. Yep. But in this case, they are like voluntold, and they are like grab like that, like with how do you say, like a claw for those machines, almost like
like the arcade games that reach down and
exactly.
grab toys.
They grab a voluntold, and they're sent to the surface, just like investigate, trying to get like more information about like what happened in '97, because it looks like everything was like pretty immediate when this virus started, how it spread, and like the amount of people that it killed. And it looks like they don't even have like a vaccine for that. It's not that, hey, these people are immune to it. It's like, no, these people, what they say is like if they get infected, they cannot come back into the underground. That is interesting.
I think it was something like 5 billion people died. Like it's the vast majority of humanity.
Yeah. So after like one trip where all the animals actually survive in the surface, but not the humans, funny enough, he comes back, Bruce Willis goes back underground again, and they present him with an option for just, how do you say, like just gaining a pardon for the crimes. I don't think that they ever mentioned what the crimes were.
Well, apparently I didn't pay that much attention, but I don't think they ever explained what he did wrong. But they were like, hey, you can get a full pardon, be released if you go back in time and figure out.
Exactly. Yeah. It is like you have to do a favor, blah, blah, blah. And then we jump into 1990, when we see like Bruce Willis in a police station. I'm going to speed up after a moment. They send it to a health institution, and there he meets Brad Pitt. I don't remember like the name of the characters. I think that I'm going to be like just skipping it. And then he escapes the institution. Brad Pitt is a bit more of a random crazy we don't say crazy, like mentally challenged person, or sort of like unbalanced person, like way too intense. I don't know exactly what would be the kind of diagnosis that he would have, but clearly he's like the kind of person he cannot stop, super active, overactive. They start some kind of friendship of sorts, and he helps him trying to get away because he believes that he has a mission that is like a really important one, that he needs to call a phone number, but he goes to the phone number, it's a random woman, so nothing happens. And then when he tries to escape, he's incapacitated by the guards. He's like trapped in a room and then disappears. And then they send him, he actually go back to the future, and they send him back to 1986, where he meets again with one of the doctors of the psychiatric center, and he kidnaps her, and he tries to find like these 12 monkeys that is supposed to be a revolutionary army, that they are the ones that they actually liberated the virus. And after like back and forth, they discover that the person that is behind that association, that army, is Brad Pitt, that he is the son of a famous virologist
played by Christopher Plummer, of all people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Like pretty random. I see him there. And he says that he was given the idea of annihilating the human race because of a comment that Bruce Willis did in 1990. So he ends up, like the 12 Monkeys ends up stealing a virus from the lab. And then we actually see a connection. I mean, basically the movie ends there. That is that they start like trying to stop like the guy from flying away, and then this actually completes a loop. So the movie, spoiler alert, is like it opens with Bruce Willis as a kid in an airport seeing how someone gets shot, and then the movie ends like seeing how the person that is shot is actually himself, like coming back from the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of like extra plot details that help you understand everything you're saying, but that's basically the entire film. Like, it's relatively simple in terms of the story arc.
And that actually drives me to a question that I would like to ask, that I would like to add to the list of questions that we have. That is like, could this have been a short?
I do want to call out a disclaimer that you told me before we started recording that you watched this not in the greatest of moods.
That's true. I mean, I was like still dealing with the jet lag, like coming back a couple of days ago, and I only had like the time for watching it yesterday. And I finished watching it like at 11:30, and at that point I was like, holy shit, this movie is way longer than it needs to be.
Before we start discussing the film, I just want to call out that the true bad guy of the film, and we don't discover this until like the last 3 minutes of the film, we don't know who the real bad guy is played by David Morse, who was also the bad guy in Dancer in the Dark. And
that's true.
Out so much.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, he was like one more of the 12 Monkeys.
No, he wasn't associated with the 12 Monkeys at all. So the people in the future, they assumed it was the army of the 12 Monkeys that caused all of this, but it turns out they were just amateur people that wanted to free the animals. Mm-hmm. And that's when he calls back, and he calls the future, and he's like, the 12 Monkeys had nothing to do with this, you need to go after this guy. And that's when Jose, or was it Juan?
Jose
comes back, is like, man, you solved it, they got you a complete pardon, we didn't know who to look at. So then the guy just goes off.
Yep.
Brad Pitt frees the giraffes. They're running around New York.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was frustrated. Okay, so let me preface this by saying I am not, and neither are you, somebody who needs a storyline wrapped up neatly.
No.
Like, I like open-ended films. Not Christopher Nolan open-ended, but like good thought-provoking open-ended films. But I was frustrated initially that there's not a resolution to the impending destruction of humanity, which is the pandemic that's about to hit. And where we end, the bad guys going off on a world tour of all the cities where the outbreaks occurred. So starting in San Francisco, and then like Taipei or wherever, like going to Asia, Europe, everywhere. I was frustrated until I realized that that's not what the film was about. Like, the film is supposed to be about Bruce Willis's life circling around his own death.
Yep.
And when I understood that, and then there's also like the sci-fi, like they can obviously keep going back in time and trying to fix things, so it doesn't necessarily mean the pandemic is going to happen. Once I started to strip away what my expectations of the film were, I liked it more. When I was like, oh, we're just seeing Bruce Willis interact with himself in different time periods over and over. And that I found an interesting concept.
I mean, I may have missed something, but my read was like, this was like a by-the-book time travel story about saying that you cannot change history. You know, because you are already part of the past, so whatever you did is already done. Is like the epidemic cannot be changed because he finished with an scene that he already saw when he was living.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he he did see his own death as a child.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't call this by the numbers. There's enough here, and I don't have a ton of experience with science fiction, but there's enough here for me to think about what did I just see? What was this about? Like where all the time travel loops? And yeah, you can venture into like territory that's been done a million times. But in my opinion,
I don't know if 12 Monkeys may be like the first one to do this properly, but I can tell you, how is it called? The Time Crimes, I think that is called, from Nacho Vigalondo. There is like a Spanish guy, and he actually is 1 hour and 20 minutes.
We watched that together, right?
I think that maybe I asked you about it. It's like the guy with a bag in his head.
Yes, I definitely watched this. I just can't remember if you asked me to watch it or we watched it together.
I don't think that we watched it for this. Maybe I recommended it to you because it used to be in Netflix for the longest time. Looper, also with Bruce Willis, and I think that is like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's almost the same story as this.
Oh, Time Crimes.
Yeah.
I saw this at Sundance in 2006.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, with my sister.
Oh, that's cool. Was the director there?
He was not. It wasn't at one of the major showrooms. It was at the actual Sundance Resort, which is kind of out of the way, but I'm interested. Yeah, it's not that there are not movies that haven't done this. I agree with you. Did you like Looper? I remember liking it.
I remember like just feeling like 12 Monkeys already did this.
And I'm sure if we were to really stop and think about time travel movies, I'm sure somebody before 1996 has done this.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about like Back to the Future, but it's like Back to the Future already like just talk quite a bit about like what a paradox is, like why is it so bad? And in this case, for me, just felt a bit more about talking about the immutability of time, and a bit more about like whatever happened is going to happen. Because when he gets shot and the other guy like runs away, it's like he's still going to be unleashing the same thing.
Okay, I'm starting to see what you mean about them being unable to change the past, because he saw that as a kid and nothing ever changed. Yeah. Okay. I see that. Maybe this movie was just too smart for me and it entertained me because I didn't understand.
No. I mean, I had to say that it's like the part about like, oh, he was not part of the. Is I think that it was like at that point it was like, no, he was part of them, So I may have like just completely missed that part. But
so I'm inferring you felt like this was too long.
I already said it at the beginning, and I already changed our list of questions for including could this have been a short? Because this is a resounding yes. I felt like this movie was full of filler.
It's interesting because you know that I unequivocally hated Brazil. I think I don't want to like tease you, but I think it was a junk film. And part of it was, in my opinion, how cheesy the world he created was. And when watching this film, I didn't particularly enjoy the year 2037, like with their absurd technology. Like when he was in the chair and they had all the cameras come up, and I was like, technology in 1997 was past that. You're supposed to be 40 years in the future. That being said, when Bruce Willis was in either 1990 or 1996, and Madeline Stowe was there, which, by the way, how the hell hasn't she aged a day? I don't understand. I thought it was pretty compelling, him like trying to figure out what's real, what's not real. Am I crazy? That
part I felt that it was interesting how it was done, about like the point of just like adding the paranoia into it and she actually buying into it, about like, oh, maybe we are crazy, maybe we are both imagining like this part and we want to believe it, and she ends up like just leaving the recording about like Merry Christmas and the 12 Monkeys in a bit more of a point of whatever. It was not even like a scientist thing, it was like a laundromat.
the only scene that really pissed me off. She was like, "Oh, it was a carpet cleaning service," and I was like, "Do you think the voicemail's going to be like, hey, we're listening from the future. Leave your message for 2037?" Of course, it would have some cover. I was like, she can't be that dumb. She's like a celebrated psychiatrist.
Yeah, the character was probably not too well written. Let's just leave it there.
There's not much of any character development at all. You just kind of see the characters in their situation, and that's it. You know?
I mean, the thing is that they doubt themselves, they find courage to move forward or whatever you want, but I still feel like it's pretty flat. It's like it's a bit more about like the world depiction and about like the mystery of what exactly happened. It's not a character-focused movie.
So I don't want to get into the teasing we do to each other, but do you feel that Brazil is a better film than this, honestly?
Yes, because you don't like it, but I like the world that it depicts. Because it feels like a full world. And I remember like discussing this, that you found like all of the scenes that they were doing with models and the likes, like pretty cheesy. Is that for me that actually worked better on just building like a whole world than this one that it felt like you have like two studios that they are like depicting the 2037. And then everything felt like super 90s, like the filmography style. It felt like 90s in not a good way. All the camera angles that they were using.
Oh God, those like the angles up to see two people looking off. They did that so many times. I was like, stop it.
Yeah, no, it's like it's like it aged a lot. Like this movie.
What year did Delicatessen come out?
It's exactly. Oh my God, I have it open right now. It's 91. Because I was going to say
Delicatessen.
Yeah,
like,
well, I was thinking about like the City of the Lost Kids, because the aesthetic is like just pretty close to that of the Lost Children. Sorry, 95. Well, actually, maybe like from the same year, but still, Delicatessen is the 2037 from 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, there was, I don't know. This is where you get into like, is it derivative or is it an homage? And I did feel like this was derivative in some ways, but it felt original enough to me and grounded enough in reality for my personal preferences. Like I said, 2037 felt like a dream state, and I enjoyed when that dream state combined with 1990 and 1996. That's what I enjoyed.
So you were okay with how absurd it was when all the scientists start singing to him?
No, I mean, it wasn't my favorite. No, I liked when he was in the past and trying to like figure out what's in his head between these two worlds. But yeah, I feel like he's a stronger filmmaker when he's grounded in like true reality. Otherwise, it just gets too absurd for my taste.
But I feel like Brazil, the point is about like depicting that whole absurd world.
But that's why I called out for my personal preference. I like things grounded in reality.
But you said that you
better or worse. What I'm saying is I enjoyed this ride and I was frustrated with Brazil.
So you enjoyed like the 90s and the 1990 and 1996 part?
Yes. And I enjoyed every scene Brad Pitt was in. I enjoyed the social justice warriors that are just portrayed as so ridiculous. No, I liked it. I liked Christopher Plummer. I thought he was an excellent choice, like a very serious character for kind of this absurdist universe. I thought that was kind of cool. No, this film just worked for me.
Okay. I mean, for me, it's like I tell you, it's like yesterday maybe was not like the best day for just watching a 2 hour and 10 minutes that they could have been collapsed into. I think that this would have been like a 90 minutes movie, honestly.
I did break this up into almost even halves. I watched the first half on day 1 and the second half on day 2. Also, my last few weeks have been way more relaxed than yours. So
yeah.
I get it. If I had been exhausted and you made me watch Celine Dion gets on a boat, I would have murdered you through Zoom.
Okay, but I'm not trying to compare this to Celine Dion Ghost Body.
Length, Like when you're
Yeah.
exhausted, you don't want to watch a long film. That's just how it is.
Yeah. And I just felt like, like the aftertaste that this movie is going to be like keeping with me is, at this point, I just have the feeling that it has been like diluted a bit.
So how did this go? My husband went to a pool party on Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
I ended up finishing the film by myself.
Okay.
I then went and saw 2 movies in theaters. This was Saturday. So then on the drive to Sunday brunch,
Mm-hmm.
I felt compelled to talk about this movie with my husband, which indicates
He has seen it, no?
he had seen it, but I wanted not necessarily to hear what he had to say, but just talk about the film. Like I wanted to be like, this is what I understood. This is, blah, blah, blah. It's not that often that I see films that I want to talk about the next day.
Let me just ask you something, because I was thinking about it. While I was watching it, I was thinking about how critical to the enjoyment of the movie is having it as a mystery, not knowing that the first scene is the last scene, and that the information, because I think that actually the message that they sent, that they talk, that is that you crack it, is about like the message that she actually sends. I don't remember any other point that they send other information to the future.
No, because at the very end, he removes his teeth and he's going to get on the plane and he's running away from the future. That's when he figures out it's not the army of the 12 angry monkeys, and he makes the call. He's like, I didn't have to make this report, but I did it anyway. And then Jose shows up immediately and he's like, you got the message that I left just minutes ago? And he's like, well, you left it 40 years ago. We're just responding now.
I'm going to be rewatching that part again.
Yeah, just watch from the time they arrive at the airport through, because he does make one final call where he was like, it's not the 12 angry monkeys. You need to pay attention to this guy. Jose shows up and he's like, if you don't come with me, I have to kill the psychiatrist.
But then he still goes to try to kill the guy
to stop the pandemic, but then he gets shot. Spoiler alert. I mean, we see it in the opening scene. So your question, how important is it that it's a mystery? In my opinion, it wasn't that important, because the opening scene is so heavy-handed, you immediately know what's going on. You see a guy in a bad wig, and you're like, oh, we don't see his face. This must be our hero.
Okay, now that part is fair. I agree that it's not subtle, but I don't know, because I was thinking is that Fight Club has, like, for example, a lot of substance.
You cannot compare a film you gave a perfect 10 to a messy sci-fi film from like 97.
I'm just talking about another movie with Brad Pitt that has some kind of surprise. Let me just talk about Seven then. And we haven't recorded about Seven, but it's like, do you feel like knowing where it lands affects the enjoyment of the movie?
Yes. I feel the experience you get watching Seven for the first time, and you really don't know what's in the box. It's a pretty powerful scene that I don't feel like you can get that same experience.
Honestly, I think that knowing, that's like one of those cases that I feel like knowing where it's going to land, it actually helps enjoying it even more.
Yeah, I was super struck by when I rewatched Seven. We should just review Seven at some point. But Gwyneth Paltrow's feeling very alone in the city, and she asks to meet Morgan Freeman because he's the only person she knows, and she reveals that she's pregnant and she's trying to decide whether or not to get an abortion. And I thought, oh my god.
It reads, it reads like pretty different. It reads like pretty different when you watch it for a second time,
Yeah.
So honestly, I just feel like it's. This is a movie that I feel is like when all the pieces fall into place, it's like, cool. That's it. You know, I just feel like there is not so much beyond that. And I had a feeling that Seven, Fight Club, and other kind of twist stories, they have more material to it.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I would say Seven and Fight Club are more timeless in terms of their staying power or being important, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just being examples of excellent films, and this is going to fade at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I had to say that I was surprised when you brought this one up. Now that you mention why, it makes sense. But maybe they are like the titles. Where did you watch it?
I rented it from Amazon.
Oh, gotcha. It's interesting because the titles at the beginning on filming, they're in Spanish, even if I actually select English. I think, let me just check again. Yeah, so it actually says like they survive it actually says like 5 million people will die because of a virus, a lethal virus in 1997. 5 million with an M.
I think in English it says 5 billion.
I think that they actually write it in some place because they actually find the write-up, the graffiti in the future and in the past. And it definitely doesn't say like 5 million.
Yeah.
It says like way more.
Yeah.
The survivals will leave the surface of the earth.
But they're going into space. It means they're going underground, man.
Yes, I was reading it right now. I was like, I think that I was tired yesterday.
Thank God, because I was like, I missed the entire setup to the movie.
No, I mean, it's not, because it doesn't matter, you know. It's that you are never so or just dig into the society. It's like you don't even know if he gets a pardon. We don't know where he goes.
Yeah, in fact, you get the sense that the pardon doesn't mean anything and they'll kill him or put him back in prison or whatever. Because they have a conversation when he's in prison, like everybody who quote unquote gets the pardon, they just disappear forever.
Yeah. They get the pardon. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I don't know, like, I mean, regardless of whether you liked it, look how much we're discussing certain details, and like, there's a lot to pay attention to. You don't have to. The story is not that complex, but the amount of detail that they put into the film, there's a lot there.
Yeah. I'm seeing like the scene right now. Sorry, it's going to be like a bit weird to listening to this, but yeah, I'm seeing like the scene where he's actually calling. Yeah, and then how Jose like shows up that we gave for death in World War One.
That's the one piece that, I mean, I remember when she took the bullet out of his leg, and they're like, this is an anti-bullet. And I was like, wait, he fought in World War One? And then I read in the New York Times review that apparently he fought in World War One, and I was like, I missed whatever discussion that was. I do not remember that in the movie.
And now the funny part is that we can actually talk about like, hey, we received this call and we know who the bad guy is, but we sent Jose exactly after the point of making the call for giving him a gun and just like asking him to kill him. It's like, you could have killed him already. You have like just 100 people waiting inside of the airport for just killing him. Why do you need him?
So the doctors that are very weird and over the top in terms of the style that they're in the future, did you recognize the woman that he sits down next to on the plane is one of the doctors? And so then we're like, Was she in on this? Did she know? Like, cause it can't be a coincidence that one of the doctors of the future sits down next to the guy.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, what is going on here? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but that basically means that everything is a farce, and this cannot be changed.
Like I said, he didn't bother to wrap up anything, which frustrated me to an extent. But I was happy to go along for the ride.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I had to say that I may actually rewatch this movie one day.
Why don't we, like, for a podcast maybe a month away, let's pick another film like normal and then reserve 15 minutes to readdress 12 Monkeys.
Okay, that's fair. Let's go over the questions in any case. Would you watch it again? I already gave my answer. I said yes, because I want to confirm. Because this used to be like one of those movies that I really like. And I remember, like, even when we were talking about Brazil, and you were telling me that you didn't like Terry Gilliam, I asked you, so you don't like 12 Monkeys?
And I said that's the only Terry Gilliam film that I like.
Yeah. So that's the...
what was that one he did that was so bad? They were all so bad.
Oh, Dr. Parnassus. Yes. The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. But that's not entirely his fault.
Is it? Isn't it?
Come on. If you actually lose like the main actor, where you are like 60% through the movie, what the heck you do? And you don't have budget for just doing the whole thing over again.
I know it's an exaggeration, but like, have you even heard of the last 5 films he's done?
No, because after the Dr. Parnassus, I said, like, I'm not watching anything else by him.
So yes, I would watch this again. I wouldn't have chosen to watch it necessarily within a month, but like in 5 years, I would watch it again and rediscover my love of Terry Gilliam.
For that movie. Maybe we should watch Brazil. We never recorded about Brazil.
We didn't record?
Like
lowest score ever?
No, that was not the lowest score. It was like 4 or 5 movies before we started recording. And it was not that low. You have given lower scores.
We should also watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I haven't seen that as someone with fully developed cinematic tastes.
I would be interested in rewatching that one because I remember like just thinking about this is bizarre, but it fits on what it's trying to depict on the screen. You know. So you could be down for just keep exploring more Terry Gilliam. Yes. Okay, I'll take that. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, as like, hey, do you want to see what the 90s had to offer in sci-fi before The Matrix?
You mean Dark City?
Yeah. And
because it was before Matrix. Never forget. Which actually was Dark City. Yeah. I think that I would recommend. I don't think that there is anything wrong per se. I just feel like maybe it was not as special as I always consider it to be. I think that Brazil is better.
I would be down to rewatch Brazil now and be like, do I like Terry Gilliam? I don't know.
No, I think that I felt like really surprised how much you dislike that movie.
Maybe I watched it while I was jet lagged.
That would explain it, yeah. I would still recommend, as you said, is like there is nothing wrong with it, even if I didn't connect as much with it. And I was like, you know, I remember like the gist of it. So, whatever. It was still, albeit about to fall asleep, it was still enjoyable.
That's enjoyable is the adjective I would use. Yeah. And thought-provoking. It was, for me, thought-provoking.
That's absolutely fair. Would you remember it?
I'm gonna say no, because I saw this film I'm guessing right around 20 years ago, and I remembered nothing but liking Brad Pitt. So I literally nothing I remembered about this film. So in a month, I will remember it. In 5 years, probably not.
I remember like the basic premise about like this is a loop in time. You know, it's a bit more about like he sees how a pandemic starts and he ends being unable to stop like that pandemic. I remember like the role of Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis. I didn't remember like that part, and now that you have clarified, is that you're absolutely right. It's like Brad Pitt gets detained and they are like just eco terrorists of sorts, but not at that level. Not about like just wiping reality. So it's a bit of more of a misguiding kind of thing. But I don't think that there is like much more. I mean, there is the part about like the doctor like sitting next to the guy and that, but I don't really think that it changes things much, those details. I didn't remember that it lasted more than 2 hours. I even like when I was
much. I just think it's not this movie is not careless. There's a lot of details, a lot to pay attention to. Whether or not you catch every detail doesn't make it a good or bad movie.
That's true. I just feel like at the same time there is a lot of details and there is like a lot of stuff that it tries to be details and is not needed.
I could see that, and you can definitely tell that, like you said, they made a sequel, 2049, Blade Runner. He clearly was like, I bet I can be as, you know, as what is the word? As like inspired, but it's like, you know, nobody knows if he's a replicant or not. Like he's like, I can make people wonder too, what's real, what's not real, and I don't think he does it as well as a lot of his peers were doing it in the 90s or the late 80s. Was it or early 80s? Wasn't Blade Runner 82?
Yeah, Blade Runner is 82 and Brazil is 85. The Brazil is also like a bit of a cyberpunk kind of city too. So, is there anything artistic about it?
I'm going to say the only thing I would specifically call out are the performances by Brad Pitt and Christopher Plummer. Every time they were on the screen, I felt like they stole the show. Beyond that, I feel like, you know, I don't like the world he creates, so like that imaginative space in 2037, I didn't care for it so much. So those are the only. So yes, the performances were very good.
I had the feeling that now that I think about it, about like the ground within reality, is like then probably like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, it can be like a really good balance of that. Because when they're on drugs, everything becomes surreal, but when they're sober, it's just reality and about like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Did you like the music?
I liked the tango because it was so unexpected in a sci-fi film. I was like, is this Gotan Project? Did Gotan Project even exist in the 90s? But I was like, this is cool. Like, yeah, I did like the music. I don't know why. It still doesn't feel like it fits, but I like that tango.
And did you like that they use like the same 10 measures of the beginning of the song like 20 times in the movie? I fucking hated that part. Every single time that it actually sounded, it's like, dude, you had Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis that they were huge stars in the 90s at that point, and you are reusing over and over the same measures of a single song.
I think that just is wrapped into your distaste for this viewing because, like, you love Amelie. They play the same 10 notes in the same order, like, for 2 straight hours.
No. There are, like, several songs that they sound the same because it's this kind of easy listen, you know, like French folk, but it's not the same. What's the name of the guy that I actually saw him live, like the composer of the Amelie soundtrack?
Just like a month ago or something.
Yeah, a month ago. Yeah, I think that I told you about it, that he actually reinvented himself as a bit more of an electronic dance, and he
trip hop sort of like.
He wishes that it was trip hop, dude. And he only played like the most recent stuff, and I had the feeling that half of the people that they were there, they were like, dude, people don't give a shit about this. People only care about like the early stuff.
That's not okay, and that's exactly what Bjork did to us earlier this year.
I was thinking about it.
Taking poetry.
Well, and the problem that I had with Björk is a bit more that on that concert, she reimagined like the classic songs, you know, like from Post, when she actually sang like Venus as a Boy, but she sang
For
it
30 seconds, she sang Venus as a Boy?
like if it was like a straight from Biophilia, it was like, no, you don't do that.
No.
You don't do that. If you are going to be doing that, don't sing it.
While holding up the flag of Tibet. That's what I want.
Well, but you already had like, what was her name? Like Greta.
Oh, Greta Thunberg. We have to drop it. I'm upset about that.
Okay, let's just go back to the questions. For me, the answer is I don't think that there is anything artistic that I will consider like full artistic. I think that the part about the future is not as imaginative as other examples that we had already seen. You know, like with Delicatessen or even like in Salve with Brazil, it's a bit more like self-contained. And then the camera work is so blatantly abusive. So like, okay, you like this kind of oblique takes, just stop. Just stop. I cannot see anything here.
I will say that the camera work seems more amateurish than Brazil even, and this movie is 12 years in the future. Like that, I didn't put together the dates. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I just feel like, hey, this is a bit more like what you think that is the style at this point, and maybe it was, but then when I actually checked that it's like from the same year as Seven, it's like Seven is sublimely done.
Agreed. Yep.
And it's like, and this feels like, dude, this feels age. I had the feeling that if I had watched like the same year as Seven and 12 Monkeys, the 12 Monkeys, maybe I watched it like that year, but 7, it took me like a bit longer to watch it, I would have felt this feels like from different decades.
Agreed.
Is it a timeless piece?
This is interesting because the story is timeless, but the style is so timely, or even like past being timely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say timely because it does feel just firmly rooted in the 90s.
Yeah.
It doesn't transcend, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I had the feeling that I agree with you, but I had the feeling that maybe that was like one of the reasons why someone thought, let's do a sci-fi TV show.
Yeah,
And
we
it was
haven't discussed that. They turned it into a TV show.
Yeah, I had no idea if it's like a sequel, if it's like a reinvention, but actually the Madeline Stowe, I think that she's in one episode.
Oh, I wish she was in more. I like her. She's the only reason I watched Revenge.
And did you watch what?
Revenge, that like TV show that was so popular 5 years ago.
And everyone forgot about it already. Oh my god, yeah. This is like from 2011 to 15, and she looks the same, like 20 years later.
Exactly the same. Like she's a vampire. She has to be.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the years could catch up with her, but yeah, no, it's scary. Like just seeing like that trailer from Revenge right now is like, wait, is he supposed to be a mother of someone here?
That's
the same
thing,
age.
They at some point reference her age in 12 Monkeys, and she's supposed to be like 27 or 28. And I was like, no, she's like 50 and the matriarch of an evil family in the Hamptons. What are you talking about?
That's her. Would you turn this into a TV show? I mean, Sci-Fi already answered for us.
I would not. When I found out there was a TV show, I thought, this is before I watched the film, I thought, I like this film. Like, I'm going to watch the show after I'm done with the movie. And while I liked the movie, I did not care to spend any more time in this world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that you could actually extend it. But with what we are giving, I think that is like a complete story. Yeah. A bit more is like, do you need more? It's like, I don't think that it's going to be like changing the end result. So, no, probably.
Yeah, I would not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that it lasted like 4 years. I don't know if it actually improved. I remember like the critics I remember like actually reading a lot about it, about like excited about this existing, about like I want to watch it, but at the same time it's a sci-fi TV show, and they're usually hit or miss, but significantly more miss than hit. So
Yes.
I was like cautious, and I think that is one of these shows that it actually improved with time. And then I completely lost track. I don't know if I was like a single episode and was like, don't think that this is going to go well. But the thing is, like, if it's not something, if it's not like this circular story, I just have the feeling that it's like it actually waters down.
Whatever appeal
Yeah.
it had. Yeah, exactly. It waters it down and it tries to build out stuff that's not there.
Yeah. So I have my new question here. Could this have been a short? My answer is yes.
My answer is no, but because I enjoyed finding all the details and thinking about all of it. Like I really didn't mind the running time, and I prefer 90-minute movies. I didn't mind it, so I wouldn't shorten this. No.
Okay.
No, Jose.
Okay, that's fair. Just keep your no. Now, and this actually answers a bit like the next one. Do you think this movie could have been better? It's like, for me, I think that it could have been shorter. I had a feeling that there are like several scenes. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it makes sense that he goes to 1990, he meets like Brad Pitt there, but that scene could have been like 5 minutes, and I think that is 20 or 30.
That's fair. Like I said, I don't need it shortened, but I think he needed a better cinematographer.
Oh yeah.
And a higher budget for special effects.
For the special effects and for more songs to the soundtrack.
A few more tangos, like just vary
Mix
the
it up.
tangos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day about In the Mood for Love. I don't know why they were playing it somewhere. Oh, they were playing it at the Jan Cisco here, and they actually extended it like several times because every single day it was like sold out. So they kept like just adding like more showings. And I was thinking about like when I watched it, that I was watching it on filming, and they started like just playing the boleros by Nate King, I think. And I was like, I think that even like told you this is like, hey, I'm watching this on filming, and I think that they changed the soundtrack because it makes no sense that they actually are using like Spanish boleros in this movie that is like so Chinese. And then I went and I kept watching it in Amazon, and I said, no, that's the soundtrack. But at least they use more than a single bolero. So if they had like budget in the Mood for Love for actually more than a single bolero, they could have used more than a single tango, and that would have been an artistic decision that I would have applauded. On this case, it was like, okay, you like these 10 measures that you use for the opening, and you're going to be like fucking ingrain it in my brain.
So you have a long list of ways this film could have been better.
I just feel like just personally molested. My ears felt like personally molested every time that it started to sound like dee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee. They said, no, it's enough. It's enough. It's fine to have like a sound motif. It's not okay to have only 5 measures.
Maybe they ran out of budget. Like, well, we paid for the one song. Let's just keep using it.
There is a scene, I don't remember which one it is. I don't know if it's the last one or when they're fighting on the theater, that you would expect a movie to use music at that point, and it doesn't. There is a scene that is like surprisingly quiet, that I feel is like, so you're telling me that you were using like gratuitously this fucking tango over and over, and on this one that is like the classic by the manual of now you use music for just building tension, and it's like, you don't.
Yeah, these things didn't bother me, man. I hear you. I'm not saying you're wrong. They just didn't.
They're not important for you. I mean, that's the reason why I'm open to just rewatch it, and if you allow me, I may revisit my score depending on
That's
how
fine.
I feel.
Let's just plan on addressing it in a month.
Yeah. But in any case, is there any question, any movie? The last time I think that you asked me about it.
I did ask you, and you remembered the movie, and I didn't remember anything about it, and I don't even remember what film we were talking about.
Let me just check. Oh, no. I only remember like a couple of scenes. We were talking about Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, that's right. We both remembered the opening 5 minutes and nothing else.
And nothing else. Yeah, it was like a bit more of a. I think that this is common with these movies, with the spaghetti western ones, but. I'm going to ask you. I want to ask you to just tell me in as much detail as you can about the Lost Boys.
100%. So Diane Wiest, I believe it's Diane Wiest, she divorces her husband and she moves to Santa... Is it Santa... the one that's close to us? Santa...
Cruz.
I always want to say Barbara.
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, thank you. They moved to Santa Cruz and she's working a lot. She has 2 teenage sons and they're trying to fit in with the local scene. All the kids hang out on the boardwalk. The older one meets a girl named Star.
Oh my god.
Turns out that the town is run by vampires. Star is
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland is well, we think that he's the head of the vampire gang. Turns out it's not. It's the guy that's trying to date their mother, which is terrible news because she invites him into the house. And the kids are super into comic books and they realize through the comic books that the town cool kids are actually vampires and they think they need to go stake them, and that if they stake the primary vampire, all the vampire dies. So they stake Kiefer Sutherland, but they don't die, and they realize
he's not the main.
It's not him, it's my mom's boyfriend. So then there's this big showdown at the house. There's also a horrible scene where they're gonna turn one of them into vampires and they ask him to eat some Chinese takeout they have, but they tricked him into thinking it was Chinese takeout, but then they let him see what it really is, and it's maggots. All these maggots moving all over.
Oh god, I have forgotten that scene completely. I don't know why. The only thing that I remember is that they talk with one of the neighbors when they are like trying to defend the house at the end, and the neighbor was like completely prepared. He's not surprised about that. Oh yeah, vampires. I guess there is Wednesday.
Everyone knows Santa Cruz is taken over by vampires.
Yeah. I'm impressed that you remember this match. Honestly.
This was one of my mom's favorite movies when I was growing up, so I've seen it a number of times.
Gotcha, yeah. I only watched it once, and when you actually mentioned like the girl was called Star, I was mind blown. So I applaud that, and I have forgotten that you have watched it many times. So next week I'm going to ask you about Jurassic Park. Let's see if you remember anything. I guess we should score it now. This was your pick, so I am going to have to score it first, and my score is going to be a 6.
Oh wow, mine's a 7. I expected a bigger spread, but no. I mean, honestly, I was going to give it a 7.5, but then when you pointed out all these things, I was like, maybe it's not that great. 7.
I honestly think that is not bad. I honestly think that I was not in the right mindset for actually watching it, but I still think that it could last like 30 minutes easily.
And I gave Brazil a 3, so this is a big improvement for me and Terry Gilliam.
And I gave Brazil a 7, so...
Look, flip-flop. Well, you liked 12 Monkeys more than I liked Brazil.
Yeah. All right, so anything else to say about 12 Monkeys?
I'm looking forward to rediscussing this at the end of September.
Oh my god, okay, that's around the corner. And for next week, as this was your pick, now is mine, and we're going to be watching, as we actually try to watch, well, we rewatched Kill Bill like some weeks ago, but we were sad that we couldn't find a single piece edition with both of the volumes back to back, and it looks like now, actually, with Hateful Eight, he did the opposite. There is an extended cut that is on Netflix right now that it actually takes the 2 hours or 2 hours and a half movie, and it actually spreads across like 45 minutes, 50 minutes episode.
It's pretty close to 4 45-minute episodes.
Gotcha. So he actually answered one of the questions for us if we would turn it into a TV show. That is yes, I did
Quentin
it.
Tarantino would.
Yeah, he did it already. So yeah, looking forward to just talk again about Quentin Tarantino.
Excellent. Can't wait.
All right, man. This was fun. Thank you so much for forcing me to rewatch 12 Monkeys, even if it was not the best time. But yeah.
Wash your hands, everyone.
Okay, you don't want the 1997 pandemic to happen.
No, because Bruce Willis can't fix it. So
No, we're screwed. Not even time travel can fix it. So, okay, bye.